I'm Crystal, and I'm Max's grandmother. During the war, I was about your age, Max. And it was a different childhood than you have, that's for sure. Because we were always running to just keep alive. My hometown got destroyed, 99%, wiped off the map. One day I had a house, and the next day I had no house. It's kind of like when the storms hit over here, only it was a little worse.
Omi, how did the war affect you and your family?
At the time I was living in a small southern German town. Nothing exciting ever happened until the war came and bombs fly out the sky like kites. Only it was dangerous, so every night when I used to go to bed, the sirens would come on, and sometimes 4 or 5 times, my mother would wake me up and we had to go in the basement so nothing would happen to us. It was very stressful because being a child, I didn't want to get up that many times. Like you do, go to school and get up every morning. I had to get up 3 or 4 times every time the sirens came on. Until one time my mother was tired of calling me all the time, and she just grabbed me by the arm out of my bed because I was tired getting up again, when one of them small bombs come right into my bed. And ever since then, I had no problems getting out of bed when she called me the first time.
Omi, what were some of the things you had to do without during the war?
Well, since we had a small family, I only had one brother and one father. One day I had a father and a brother, and the next day they went off to war, so it was only my mother and I. We hardly ever heard from them because they went way off to Russia, and my brother went way up. He was in the German Navy, so we really didn't know half of the time where they were. And in all that process, my brother got missing in action, so for 2 years we didn't know if he was alive or not alive. But it had a happy ending because he did get captured by the Americans and came home in the end.
Omi, what were some of your biggest fears during the war?
My biggest fear was that my house would be destroyed also, and all my posters and toys and things that was very dear to me would not be there anymore. And that really did happen, because one day, out of the blue sky, we were just made it into the basement, came all those bombs and destroyed the whole town. In less than an hour, the whole town was gone. So it was my toys and my posters. That was my biggest fear, since I only had a mother there, and she was, thank God, safe. With me, we were together.
Omi, how did rationing affect you and your family during the war?
Well, rationing was bad in one sense because you don't think about the food that your parents tell you you have to eat, but you think about candy, cookies, and all that was gone. We only got it maybe once a month. There was never much sugar. And then came clothing. You got one pair of shoes every 6 months during the war, and they had to do you summer and winter. So it was with meat. We just got small amounts of everything, but that was good in one way because it taught me not to waste anything, because everything that you needed and wanted was precious, so you took good care of it, that you had it still for the next day or the day after. In the end, it got very bad because one of the family had to get up early and stand in line hoping that you get bread and maybe butter. When I stood in line one time 4 hours, and when I got to the end of the line, all I got was butter, and I never forget, my mother said, "Why did you then bring the butter? We have nothing to put the butter on," because no one likes to eat just butter. And that's happened many times with all kind of food. You got one or the other. Being a child, it was hard that you could never get cookies or fruit. Just the main staples that keeps you alive to eat. Everything else was not coming in because there were fighting going on, so nobody got anything.
Omi, where were you when the war ended in Europe?
When the end finally came, I was sitting in a deep cellar with my mother and some more Germans, tanks rolling over the streets, and we were worried what is going to happen, because when an adult went out and looked, the white surrender flags were flying, and the radio in the basement was still saying, "Have no fear, we will win the war." And that was Goebbels speaking, saying, not to give up, we will win the war. And we had already surrendered and were scared to come out of the basement to see what is waiting for us. Never thought in them days that I would be a proud American someday, because I was scared when the tanks were rolling in with the Americans and in their army clothes. Everything was scary. And we were really scared. Propaganda told you, oh, they're going to do this to you and that. But that was not true, because they were very nice, gave us food, talked nice to us. So all the being scared was unnecessary. We didn't hear anything about the atomic bomb or anything. There was such a chaos in Germany. Everybody was looking for their loved ones, and all the homes they lost, that we never even heard anything of what's going on over here or in Japan.
Wow.
Omi, why is it so important that we learn about your experience in the war?
So it's very important that you know what happened years before you ever were born, because we learned about the war in 1914 to 18, and now this was World War II, and Hitler times. Most of your children won't even know what happened if you don't hear about it. And it was not all good, and it wasn't all bad, but it all had a happy ending, because here we are in America.